Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Got a few topics to share with you in this latest Moon Lambo hot jam. Attorney John Deaton, in a brand spanking new interview, has publicly stated the SEC is going to lose and Ripple and XRP holders are going to win. I'll share with you his exact words. Also, Attorney Filan, a member of the XRP community, he shared a simple tweet, but I thought it was rather poignant. Has to do with SEC tactics, because you might be wondering, after all this, the hubbubaloo having to do with the attorney-client privilege claims and the DPP, the privilege claims that the SEC's been asserting for the better part of a year, and recently Judge Torres smacking down their arguments because their arguments were quite pitiful. You might be wondering, what's the next step for the SEC? Is there going to be a motion to reconsider? And that's certainly possible. That's one of the possible next steps here. Well, Attorney Filan had something to say on that. And also, people are asking, after what happened, and God, I do not want to talk about Kim Kardashian. Oh my God, Kim Kardashian. But she's been in the news, in crypto news lately, because she got fined by the SEC. I talked about it one time on this channel, and after I talked about it, I said, hopefully I'll never have to talk about Kim Kardashian on this channel ever again, but I'm going to bring it back because some stuff was brought up, and people are asking if, Gary Gensler's point blank asked this on national television, actually. He was asked, okay, so you went after Kim Kardashian for securities violations. Why didn't you go after Matt Damon? Because, I said it wrong. Why didn't you go after Matt Damon? Because you may recall that he was in a commercial that aired, it wasn't the first time it aired, but it most famously aired during the Super Bowl. And his stupid comment, I'm sure he didn't come up with it, but it was what? Fortune favors the brave. Remember that one? And it was like near the peak of crypto before bear market territory began. And so the timing of that admittedly wasn't good, but if you went after Kim Kardashian, why aren't you going after Matt Damon? And so that was the topic anyway. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say are right. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so here is Kathy Chu's Twitter profile. And she used to be a reporter at the Wall Street Journal and also USA Today. So she comes from mainstream media, and she's currently covering crypto for TruthDAO. And just yesterday, she had Attorney John Deaton on for an interview. And my fellow XRP YouTuber, Crypto Eddie, shared this 27-second segment of that interview. And I transcribed it, and I want to share what was said in this. And so shout out and credit to Crypto Eddie. This is absolutely money. But here's what Attorney John Deaton said, verbatim. As you know, there's no fraud in this case. There's not one allegation of fraud. So this is a pretty straightforward case. And I've become more and more, I try to stay, not too optimistic so I can give people more objective advice. But I just don't see how the SEC wins this case at this point. I really do. I'm going to go out on a limb and predict a win for Ripple and XRP holders. So look, folks, now, Attorney John Deaton, he's made it very clear that, from the very beginning, that the SEC is on the wrong side of the law. But in terms of a prediction, this is as bold as it gets. I mean, he's laying it down. He's like, this is what I actually think will happen. And perfectly fine. I respect his opinion. I hope he's right. I think, from what I've seen at this point, again, I don't have any sort of legal background. I think he is right. I think that's what's most probable. But a lot of the time along this journey, and I don't blame him one freaking bit, he said, okay, looks like Ripple's on the right side of the law. Again, like I said, he's been saying that the whole time. But he's acknowledged that, we're not in the clear yet. He said that in recent months even, and I'm paraphrasing here. But, there is a possibility that this could go poorly. And he cited reasons why. I talked about that even on my channel. I love the thoughtful discourse from Attorney John Deaton on this. This is the most bold thing that I've seen in terms of expectations of an actual outcome in the SEC v. Ripple case from Attorney John Deaton. And I know that everybody here listening is absolutely enjoying hearing that. And I certainly did as well. As soon as I heard that, I was just like, yep, attaboy. Absolutely. Now, as far as what the SEC's doing here, in the meantime, it's not exactly ideal. We know that the name of the game for the SEC, other than obviously lying and cheating and all that crap, is delay. That's the strategy, right? Well, there's An XRP community member named XRP Deriv, who tagged a few, he tagged a few attorneys within the XRP community, and Attorney Filan did respond. But here is a question asked by XRP Deriv, member of the XRP community. Do you think SEC already had their motion to reconsider written to Judge Torres, knowing she would overrule their initial request, but SEC will sit on it until last minute, then file as to delay long as possible? And so I'll pause it just to make sure everybody knows what XRP Deriv is talking about here. It's what I was referencing in the outset of this video. You may recall that Judge Torres did smack down the SEC. They were saying, hey, Judge Netburn, which ruled against them on the attorney-client privilege claims, ruled against them on everything having to do with the delivered process privilege and the Billy Boy Hinman Ethereum free pass emails, and I'll just assume that everybody knows what I'm talking about at this point. Torres sided with Netburn, and a possible next step is that the SEC could file for reconsideration to Judge Torres. And so what's being asked here is, do you think that the SEC, since perhaps they may have expected that this wouldn't go well for them, and to be honest, I don't think that they thought that they'd get this. I think it was more of a Hail Mary because it's that absurd. That's why it's just my fun little guess there. Is there a chance, basically what asking, that the next step, like in terms of asking for reconsideration, if that is what they did, is what they ultimately do you think they already had that planned out? Is that already typed up? Or they just haven't filed it yet because they like to drag things out as much as possible? Well, here's what Attorney Filan had to say in response to that. And this is from just this morning. He said, do you remember when the SEC filed a one-line response to Ripple's efforts to enforce Judge Netburn's ruling on the authentication of the videos of the SEC officials' remarks? The SEC took the full 5 days allowed to file that one-line response. So think about that. That does say something. I mean, they kind of, give up the game there at that point. The one-liner you couldn't have filed more promptly, but with how many delays they've requested on top of that, and then you see this behavior, it's like that is the name of the game. And I'm not saying that it's unreasonable, and actually it just happens to be the case that even Attorney Deaton was tweeting about this recently. I don't have it pulled up, but even he was saying the one thing I'm not going to complain about ever the SEC doing is filing stuff last minute, because even he does. He's making the point that sometimes there's just a boatload of work, and it's incredibly challenging to get stuff in by a deadline, even if it's late at the end of the day on whatever that deadline is. But still, there's a little bit more going on here than just the SEC having trouble meeting deadlines. So it's a little bit different in their case, because it's super duper clear that their tactic, again, like I said, beyond lying and cheating, is to delay. So it is a little bit different. So I wouldn't be surprised in the least if that's part of their tactic. Now, as far as this Kim Kardashian stuff, oh my God, I shouldn't be talking about Kim Kardashian on my Moon Lambo channel with all the hot jams. I shouldn't be having it. This is a crypto channel, XRP centric, but she found her way onto my little Moon Lambo channel. It is what it is. Pop culture, goddamn. So, just in case anybody missed this, Kim Kardashian was paid, I believe it was $250,000 to promote a cryptocurrency, and she did in a tweet. And she did indicate in the tweet that it was an ad, so she was forthright about that. Just the fact that it was an ad. Well, turns out that apparently it was a crypto called Ethereum Max, and apparently it was a rug pull from what I've read, and Gary Gensler decided to do a bit of a publicity stunt. At least that's certainly what's being claimed, and I wouldn't put it past him. And so he went ahead and had his SEC go ahead and sue Kim Kardashian. She ended up paying, I think, $1.25 million to make everything right. So she came out financially behind, I think, after all this, because she only got paid $250,000. I say only $250,000. But Gary Gensler decided to come after him. And again, we'll get to the Matt Damon part in just a minute here, but let me catch you up to speed on what's been said. So this is from just a few days ago from Eleanor Turret, who is a Fox Business journalist, and she wrote the following. A former SEC lawyer tells me Kim Kardashian was an easy target for Gary Gensler to generate publicity that the SEC is protecting investors from illicit crypto schemes. His goal, in part, is to prove the SEC should have at least equal jurisdiction with the CFTC on regulating crypto as Congress looks to determine who should be the principal regulator. This lawyer tells me the SEC likely used Kardashian's ambitions to become a lawyer against her. By paying a fine and not admitting wrongdoing, she is protecting her ability to be admitted to the California bar, which requires an applicant to have good moral character. The lawyer also says Kardashian may be used as a witness into an ongoing, possibly criminal investigation into Ethereum Max and its creators/promoters. So again, it's a bit peculiar because she was not hiding that this was an ad, but I think that she didn't want the trouble. It's pretty clear, like she didn't want to. It's the path of least resistance is to just settle, and that's why like 95% of cases settle. And that's a true statistic, by the way. About 95% of the cases the SEC brings end up settling instead of going to court. Path of least resistance, right? What, do you really want to deal with all this and have your name dragged through the mud and all this and that? For most people, the answer is no. So that's why I'm so thankful Ripple's doing what they're doing. Charles Gasparino on the 5th wrote the following about this. SEC enforcement staffers are complaining Gary Gensler violated protocol by hyping Kim Kardashian's settlement appearing on CNBC within minutes of the case being announced. People with direct knowledge tell Fox Business. They are calling it a publicity stunt. And it's a publicity stunt designed to burnish his rep to be named Treasury Secretary. They also say Gensler stealthily approached CNBC for his appearance and created a video on the settlement, an unusual move for chairs who usually allow staff to take credit for actions and pursue broader issues. It's the latest skirmish between Gensler and enforcement department that continues to lose attorneys amid complaints about Gensler's management style and workload as the SEC dives into non-traditional areas of enforcement, i.e. corporate, ESG mandates. SEC had no immediate comments. There you go. What's the news that's coming out here is that even the people at the SEC, a ton of them don't even like Kim Jong Gensler. And it was all about him, not giving the people that did all the work on this the credit. It's me, I'm Kim Jong Gensler, and I did everything. And so he gets the credit. He's eager to get on the news, and he's so giddy about it. He's so excited that he did the thing. And it was a publicity stunt. That's what's being asserted here. Well, I don't think that he's a good person. And I'll tell you this, I don't think he's doing any of this for money. He's worth over $100 million, reportedly. Gary Gensler is. So it's about his next career move. You know, the idea of being named Treasury Secretary. He's looking for bigger and better things. So he doesn't care what happens here. It doesn't matter how many people he has to, metaphorically mow down here in the process, how many people get financially harmed. He doesn't care. It's about him. It seems like sociopath behavior, does it not? And there are headlines. I'm not going to read these stories because, it's not necessary to get the idea across. But here's one from Fox Business written by Charles Gasparino and Eleanor Terrett. Great article, by the way. It's titled, SEC Staffers Fuming Over Gensler's Self-Promotion on Kardashian Case. Here's another one from Fortune.com. The SEC's Kardashian fine was a dumb publicity stunt. It's like, this is not a secret. Like, people understand this is dumb as hell, and this is what Kim Jong Gensler is doing because it's all about him. John Deaton's crypto law organization on Twitter did share a snippet from that Fortune article, though, and I do want to read that. It's on your screen right now. It reads as follows. What a shame this is all so stupid. Gensler's agency failed to spot the massive fraud underlying Terra and Celsius earlier this year that helped wipe out more than $1 trillion, much of it from small investors, end quote. So there you go. That's from the author, Jeff John Roberts. There you go. So he's got a few first names, doesn't he? So anyway, it crystal clear, but think about that. He's going after Kim Kardashian for that relatively small amount. I mean, for an individual, okay, any regular person would think that that's a lot of money, but when you're talking about $1 trillion in Terra and Celsius, where are his priorities? It's why it's purely about publicity. And then there was this video clip that was shared. Gary Gensler, and this would have been on CNBC, I believe, because that's Andrew Ross Sorkin, who was interviewing Gary Gensler, and he was talking about the Kim Kardashian thing. And he's talking about how, the amount that Kim Kardashian was paid, apparently it wasn't disclosed, this or that, even though she did publicly state that it was an ad. And so then Andrew Ross Sorkin came back to him and said, okay, Gary Gensler, and I'm paraphrasing here, of course, but he's like, well, what about Matt Damon, who had that ad, which is most famously aired in the Super Bowl. It was like a 1-minute ad for Crypto.com. He didn't divulge that how much he was getting paid, but he clearly got paid to act in the advertisement. And he said, "Fortune favors the brave," most famously, and even South Park lampooned it. That's a funny episode. I gotta love South Park, but he brought that up. So he's like, Gary Gensler. So what's the difference? Clearly that was an ad. Kim Kardashian, she said hers was an ad publicly, right out the gate. So there's no secret there. What's the difference? And he just dodged the question. He didn't answer. He's like, he did the same thing he was. I'm not going to speak about the specifics of individual cases. Yeah, exactly, because you don't have a good answer, you little prick. And here's what Attorney Deaton had to say. This is a great question by Andrew Ross Sorkin, but he should know Gary Gensler will never answer a fair and legitimate question that helps create any type of clarity. Gensler wants it vague in order to choose which cases to bring. He wants maximum prosecutorial options. And that's true. That's right. And that's what Attorney Deaton tweeted out just this morning. It's unfortunate, but man, what a terrible creature. Like, nature, you done messed up making this human in air quotes. Get him off my screen. Get him off my screen. I don't want none of that. And no more talking about Kim Kardashian. Oh my God. It's just, I want to say firmly no, but I was pretty confident last time, but it was still in the news. I was like, okay, if we're going to talk about it. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Lambo.